by using Terraform. Yep. So we are going to discuss about how we can set up the three-tier architecture by using Terraform. So I'm going to drive from the very basics to the things what we can provision by using the Terraform in AWS to some extent. I hope this will be helpful for the people who are new to Terraform or just want to understand how Terraform helps us to provision the infrastructure and how the infrastructure as a code is going to work. So that is the overall agenda of today's program. And another thing is, yes, this session is recorded, and you are going to get this recording session once class is over. You can refer it for the later point of time. Okay. So with that context, I'm just going to give overview. Initially, we are going to see how to set up Terraform. Once we have set up, we are going to use any one of the cloud provider to provision our infrastructure. Over here, we are going to use AWS cloud. So we will see how we can connect AWS cloud or from Terraform to our AWS cloud. Then I'm going to explain how usually the three-tier architecture looks like. Okay, standard three-tier architecture, especially irrespective of AWS, it is common everywhere. However, we are provisioning the AWS infrastructure, so we will talk about that one. At last, we are going to set up the three-tier architecture of AWS environment by using the Terraform. So this is bit time-taking session. However, we are going to do this one, and most of these resources are already available in our GitHub. I'm going to give the references wherever it is needed. Okay. So before moving further, just a little bit about me. My name is Ravishankar Ankiredipalli, and I have 13 plus years of experience in IT. So I have worked as a system administrator, then AWS admin. Currently, I'm working as a DevOps consultant. So that is my experience. Besides to that, I'm also a Udemy instructor and a YouTuber. So I will produce content for the video recordings whenever it is necessary. Okay, so sharing my knowledge is the quite common um, hobby for me. So that's why I'm going to do or I'm going to produce the content. So first thing before moving further, so as I mentioned, first we need to set up Terraform. I hope many of you already know about what is Terraform. If not, just a glance. Terraform is a infrastructure as a code tool which helps us to provision the infrastructure in cloud or in on-premises. Especially, it became more popular when we are started using cloud and different cloud providers we are using, right? That's why Terraform became more popular. If you ask me that, okay, what are the other alternatives are there? Pulumi is one of the alternative for the Terraform, which is latest one. Apart from that, AWS native one, we have a AWS Cloud Formation. Though Terraform also going to do the similar activity like cloud formation, and it is more comfortable and flexible. So we can do the same things by using Terraform. That is the overall benefit of using Terraform. And nowadays, most of the organizations are adapting for the infrastructure as a code. Due to that, the prominence of Terraform became more. So if you have this skill, it is going to definitely helpful for your profile weightage. So first we are going to see how to set up Terraform. To set up, I'm going to show you how to set up on Windows, which I have already So you can do the similar kind of things if you are using other like Linux or Mac OS. You can follow similar kind of steps. The documentation will refer to that. So with that, let me go to my documentation. So all the resources what I'm using in this webinar is available over here. You can just github.com/revd. You can refer to this, or more specific, you can go to Terraform Skill Up, right? So this is where most of the documents I have written. So I just given this one in the chart window. You can just refer to this. Okay. So these are the documents which we are going to follow or referring. First thing is we are going to do the Terraform install. So we'll install Terraform, then we'll connect with AWS cloud. After that, I will just show you how to write a simple Terraform file. Once you have written, we are going to set up the three-tier architecture, or else at least some level if time permits. And another thing is, yeah, this is going to happen around 45 minutes to 50 minutes. Last 10 minutes, I'm going to 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to allow you to ask your questions if you have something. Okay. So with that, first we are going to do the Terraform installation. So to install Terraform over here, so there is a link where you can go and install download Terraform and install it. So this is the link. If you go over here, you can see here. So there are multiple client versions, right? It could be Mac OS, Windows, or Linux. Based on your operating system, where you want to install Terraform, you can use it. For time being, I'm using my laptop as a Terraform system. Okay. In the real world, you might use the uh, your local system, or else we can create a dedicated EC2 instance just for as a Terraform system, so that it would be helpful for you. So I'm going to use the Windows version because my operating system is Windows. I'm just downloading my Windows version. So if I go to show folder, I'm just bringing it over here. Yep. So over here, we just downloaded Terraform. It is a zip file. We need to unzip it and we need to put it in some path, that path. There is no installation of Terraform in this. You just need to tell the path of your Terraform. It is already binary version, executable version, sorry. So let me extract it. So extract it. And this is the folder. And if you see the Terraform version, it is 1.7.5. So this is the Terraform version. So let me open this one. You can see here. This is the application. You can just directly execute the Terraform. Let me open the terminal over here just for your reference. So this is the terminal. And over here, if I do Terraform, sorry, dot Terraform minus version. So it will tell you the version what uh, you have at this moment. You can see here Terraform v.1 version 1.7.5. So it is on Windows and I didn't install it. I just downloaded and executed. But if I execute the same command outside of this specific path, it might not work. Why? Because uh, you need to mention the path that where this .terraform file does exist. Okay, that's why. So how you can mention that one? Again, that I have updated in the documentation. You need to update your environment variable. So in Windows, we have environment variables, right? So edit system and environment variables. This is where we need to update it. So if I go and if I check it, edit environment variables. Over here, if you see somewhere I have mentioned the Terraform, it will be under path, I think, edit. So, okay, it is in some other location Terraform I have given. We need to add our Terraform path in this file. Okay, so let me give this path instead of downloading. I'm going to change it to the a specific directory which I have created. So this is the directory which I have created for today's demo. So even I don't require this file at this moment. So here I'm going to move it and this path I'm going to give as a path so that whenever I execute Terraform command, it should able to pick up the Terraform which is available over here. So I will just quickly copy it from my downloads to over here. Just this file would be sufficient. So I'm copying over here. So now this path, I need to mention it in the variables. So environment variables. So just I'm going to add new one. So I'm going to add a new one. Variable type Terraform Okay, so even I can add that one to the path variable, so that will be pickup. Let me, because I have two versions, so I just need to care. I should be careful while doing this one. So by default, though, if I don't run it, Terraform minus version. So you can see here, now it is picking up the latest one. Sorry, yeah, I'm in downloads. Latest one, that is 1.7.5. Earlier one was, sorry, yeah, okay. Yep, this is the one I'm talking. So mine is 1.5.0, that is already I was using earlier. Now latest one is 1.7.5, which is not yet picked. I think if I close it and reopen it, it is going to take the new environment variables and it is going to pull. But this is already I have mentioned in the documentation. You can just follow it. You can see here, edit the path in the system variable. I mentioned this path. I think I have copied my Terraform into this location. So we need to add the path, and the Terraform path we can add it. Anyway, we have added. Now let me close this terminal, and I'm going to open the new terminal. So this is the new terminal, Terraform minus version. Okay, it is not picking up. Still, it is taking older one because of two versions. So the easiest way is I will copy it into the my default location. Okay, rather than changing this one. That is in this PC, program files. Over here, we have Terraform. Yep, this is the one. So it is picking up this one. I'm just going to replace this one with the new one. Yes, replace the destination. And to do that, I just need to continue. Okay, now let me open the terminal once again. Okay, did I select OK? Oh, okay, I need to save it. That's why it didn't pick up. Let me close it and reopen. So it is not picking up. Did I made any mistakes while adding the environment variables? This I can remove it. This I can edit it. Sorry, not this one, path, right? Yep. Edit this path. And is there anything for Terraform? Yep, this one. Okay, over here I mentioned. So this location I should copy this one. But anyway, I'm just going to edit it and give the right path. That is this path. Over here we have copied, right? Not here. Here. Yep. So this path I'm just mentioning it. Edit. Okay. And okay. Okay. Yep. Sorry, yeah. So now let me rerun it. Yep, I need to close it. Terminal. Okay, so now it pick up the latest version which we just updated, and it is not giving any warning saying that okay, latest version is available. So this is the simple way. Just I'm going to repeat it one more time. So we need to download the required files and edit the environment variable over here. So edit environment variable and go to the path and edit the path in the systems variable. That is what we need to do. So in case if you don't have anything, so you can add it like new. If it is already there, you can edit it. I just edited that. So over here, you can just look for the Terraform whenever it is needed. So that's how we can able to set up the Terraform or install Terraform on Windows. Next thing, once we have installed, we need to connect with AWS. Okay, over here, as I mentioned, I'm going to connect with AWS, and there I'm going to provision the infrastructure. For that, we are going to connect with our AWS account, and I hope you know what is AWS. It is a AWS, one of the cloud provider. And to connect with AWS, we need some credentials that I'm going to generate it right now. Before that, if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. So now let's move on to the next step that is already I have mentioned over here. So that is connect to AWS. While connecting to AWS, first thing is we need to create an IAM programmatic access for the IAM programmatic access user, and we should provide the administrator access. So IAM is a service in AWS which helps us to create or grant access to AWS console or the services which are there in the AWS. And programmatic access, actually, whenever we want to run any commands through the CLI, then we should go with the programmatic access. And we are doing provisioning, right? Nothing but we will be creating resources, modifying resources, or deleting resources. So we must go with the administrative privileges so that it will be easy. Once that is done, we need to do the AWS configure. But before doing AWS configure, we need to install AWS CLI on our local system. I mean to say where we want to run our Terraform. So I missed to explain about that one. So once the Terraform is installed, then we need to go with the Visual Studio. You can ignore. This is if you are writing programs. I'm using Visual Studio. I will just show you how it will be helpful. Then install AWS CLI. So it is direct. Again, let me go to this documentation. So over here, you can go and you can install AWS CLI version 2. So don't install version 1. You must install AWS version 2, AWS CLI version 2. And there are different operating systems, right? So in our case, Windows. So in Windows, we can directly download it from over here and install it. Just let me download it. So it is downloading the AWS CLI. Now let me go back to the downloads over here. You can see AWS CLI. Just double click, it is going to get installed. Okay. Once it is installed, we need to configure it. So I have already installed, no need to install it again. So just want to check out whether you have installed AWS or not. AWS minus version. It will tell you that whether you have installed AWS or not. AWS minus version. Okay, so you can see here AWS CLI 2.12. So version 2 we have installed. Now we can run the commands to configure our credentials. But to configure our credentials, again, let me go back to documentation. So this is to connect it, right? So if I go over here, we need an IAM user with the programmatic access. Now I am going to create an IAM user with programmatic access. For that, this is my AWS console. So once you have logged into AWS console, this is how it looks like. Over here to create a IAM user. So you can just search for IAM and it takes you to IAM console. So this is the IAM console, and if you see over here, there are 6 users, and I have created a user called Terraform SkillUp. Anyway, I'm going to create a new user, and this new username, I'm going to name it as a Terraform SkillUp, right? Okay. So please remember this name, Terraform SkillUp, right? This is the one we are going to create right now. And as I mentioned, we need to give the administrative privileges for this user. So I'm going to attach the policy. So policy, nothing but in AWS, it is kind of giving the privileges to the user or this specific user. So I'm giving a policy called administrative access. Administrative access, nothing but he can do most of the things on AWS console. So next, and create this user. So we have created a user called Terraform SkillUp, right? But as I mentioned in the documentation, if you see, we should need the programmatic access. Programmatic access, nothing but you need to create the access key ID and secret access key for this user. For that, I'm going to create the secret access key for this. So over here, security credentials, and you can see here, create access key. Just click over here. And this access key, I'm going to use it for the CLI, nothing but AWS CLI. So just choose this option and I understand. And next, and tag value, you can give skill up, right? And create access key. That's it. Now you have created access key. Whenever you create access key, you will get access key ID and secret access key, and it will be visible at the time of while you are creating. Once you missed to download it or save these credentials, you cannot able to get it. That's why I'm just downloading it as a CSV file, and we are going to use these credentials. And another information, as per the security purpose, it is not recommended to show these values. However, once this is done, I'm going to delete these credentials. So that's okay for now. So we need to use this access key ID and secret access key to connect from our Terraform system to AWS. Okay. So what and all things we need to do? Just I'm going to repeat it once again. Yeah, this is the documentation. We need to create a user. Then we need to configure credentials. To configure credentials, we are going to use the AWS configure. However, we can create multiple profiles. Nothing but let's take you have 10 AWS accounts. You want to connect with 10 different AWS accounts, then you can create the profiles. Okay. But in our case, it is one. That's why I'm just going to use the AWS configure. Okay. So AWS configure, just give enter. And over here, you can see AWS access key ID it is asking. So let me provide these credentials. Sorry. So this is access key. Next, secret access key. So this is the secret access key. And the next thing, default region name. On which region you want to work by default. If you don't specify anything, then in which region you are going to do the activity. So in this lab, I'm going to use AP South one. So let it be the same. And the next thing, default output, I don't want to change anything. Just okay. Now we have configured or we have connected from our local system to AWS console. How do we check it? Just AWS S3 LS. If any S3 buckets are there in our AWS account, it is going to display. If you see, there are two buckets, that is Advanced Project and Janmejai demo bucket. So same thing is available in our AWS console. I'm just going to give AWS S3. So these two buckets are there, which means that we could able to connect with our AWS console from my local system. This is my local system PowerShell console. You can use either PowerShell or Git Bash, even Putty. So not Putty, a mobile extreme. Like that, different tools you can use. It's okay because these all are common commands irrespective of any shell. Okay. That's why I'm using the PowerShell over here. But if you have Visual Studio Code, okay, this is my Visual Studio. Sorry, yep. So this is my Visual Studio Code console. Over here, you can have a terminal. So you can choose terminal and you can choose different terminals over here based on what you have installed. I have installed Git Bash, command prompt, CentOS 7, CentOS 9. All these things will be available. But anyway, this we will come back. So over here, I have configured my AWS and it is working fine, which means that I have connected with my AWS console. So I can say that, okay, this is done. And the next thing, once this is done, we are going to write our first Terraform file. As I'm just thinking that this is whoever is attending this session is more like a basic users. That's why I'm just quickly going to explain how you can create the simple Terraform file. So whenever you are creating any Terraform file, you should have the provider information. Provider nothing but to which cloud you are connecting. So here providers, there are different providers like AWS, Azure, GCP, Alibaba, Datadog. Okay, there are various providers are available. If you want to know more about providers, you can refer to the official documentation of Terraform. Terraform providers, they are going to give the list of the providers which we can use or connect. Okay, so there are hundreds of providers which we can use it. However, we are using AWS provider. If you go over here, so this is the one of the provider which is supported by Terraform, and current AWS provider version is 5.41.0. That's okay. And if you want to connect with this one, if you don't know how to write the code, so Terraform official documentation is the best choice. You can come over here, and most of the resources, how you need to define and how you need to write, it is clearly explained. Even to connect or to use this provider, you can see here. So this is the way you can use or you can take the code. So Terraform and required providers 5.41, it is connecting with the latest version. So same thing I have updated in the documentation. I'm sorry. So yep. Yeah, over here. So we can give the version if needed. If you don't give, it is going to take the default version. But these are the minimum resources we can provide uh, in our provider block. That is, you can mention the region. Even though if you don't mention the region, by default, it is going to take the AP South one, which we have mentioned. So this is the provider. Even we can give the provider version. However, I will take it from the official documentation itself. So this is Terraform required providers, and provider is AWS. So this code also we can copy and we can create our resources. Okay. So that is about the provider. Next thing is, whenever we are creating any resource, we need to know what and all inputs we need to provide it. So for testing purpose, we are going to create an EC2 instance. Whenever you wish to create an EC2 instance in AWS cloud, these are the resources which you require. Among these, few might be mandatory and few are not mandatory. So we should have the instance name, nothing but the name of the instance. Operating system, we call it as a AMI, which operating system you need. Instance type, what is the instance type? It could be T2, micro, medium, large, or different versions. Next, key pair we need to provide. Next, VPC. Next, storage. So these are the this is the information we need to provide while creating from the CLI. However, sorry, not CLI, GUI. However, among these, some of these options are optional. That's why we can skip this and we can provide these values to create a resource. So we must need an AMI. So there is no way to skip, and we need instance type and the key pair. How do I know whether I need it must and or not? Again, you can refer to the documentation. The resource name is AWS instance, right? So if you go over here and refer to the AWS underscore instance, okay, or else I can just search for AWS. So AWS instance, you can see here resource type AWS instance. Over here, it will have the information, and also we can go and check the documentation for this. So over here, okay, argument references. So you will have the argument information, and it will tell you that whether you really need it or not. So required unless launch template is provided. Nothing but in case if we are giving launch template, you don't require, otherwise it is needed, so we must create it. So you can go through with this argument reference document, which will have more detailed information whether it is really needed it or not. Okay, so with that we can able to create a resource. So quickly we are going to create one of the demo EC2 instance just to test it out. Okay, again, this information I have already updated in our repository. So this is the v1ec2.tf. So this is the one. As I mentioned, you can specify the region name, and just a provider would be sufficient. And this is the information. So I'm going to copy this one and create it so that it will be easy for you to follow. So instead of creating over here, I'm going to just open my Visual Studio Code. Okay, this is the Visual Studio Code, and I will just show you again how you can open it so that it will be easy for you. So I have installed Visual Studio Code on my laptop, and I have opened a folder called Skill Upright, which is available over here. Okay, Skill Upright, yeah. So Skill Upright over here. So this is the path I have just opened. So whatever content you could see over here, same content you can see in the Skill Upright. So you can see here, this is the Terraform skill upright. This is one directory, then this is another, and the terraform.exe also in the same location, and the PPT which I have opened, it is also in the same location. Okay, so that is how you can able to access your content. Okay, this is don't save, just use as it is, don't save. All right, so these are the files, and over here I'm just going to create one directory. This is to create a directory. I'm just going to create it as a demo EC2. Okay, and make sure that whenever you are executing any Terraform script, you need to have this file should be independent. Nothing but if you create it along with the other resources, it might create other resources. So I have created a demo EC2 folder. Even you can see the same folder over here, which I just created. Did I create it outside or inside? Just let me check. Okay, I created it outside, so it should come under to skill upright. So let me delete it, and I will create in the skill upright directory. So demo EC2. All right, so over here I'm just I just created a folder, and the same folder you can see over here, and inside you can create a file from the Visual Studio Code itself. I'm just going to add a new file in this directory, and file name I'm going to name it as a ec2.tf. So for the Terraform files, we are going to give extension as a tf, nothing but a Terraform. So over here, I'm going to copy the code which we have seen. So this is the code, right? So we are mentioning the provider as AWS, and then resource. So while creating resource, this is the AWS resource name, and we can give any name according to our convenient over here. Okay, let me copy it. And one more thing, what you need to remember is whenever you are providing this AMI ID, right? You need to make sure that this AMI ID is available in your region. Nothing but in our case, it is AP South one, right? So same region, I can go and launch the EC2 instance. I could see that AMI ID. So for that, again, I will go to EC2 over here, launch instance. So whenever I'm launching the instance, it will choose one of the AMI, or we can choose one of the AMI. So I'm just going to choose one of the AMI. This is Amazon Linux 2023, right? So same thing, or else let me go with the Amazon Linux 2 also. Okay, so you can see this is the AMI ID. This AMI ID should match. Otherwise, what happens? It might be looking for this AMI ID. If doesn't exist, it is going to fail the execution. That's why to just to make sure it is going to work. Now another thing is key pair. I have given the skill up right as a key pair. I need to make sure that that key pair exists. Usually key pair will be useful to log into EC2 instance. So I can go to dashboard. Again, I will look for the key pair. So this is the key pair. And there are no key pairs. I'm going to create a key pair called skill upright. So create the key pair, skill upright. Okay. And I'm going to create it as a PEM. PEM nothing but from in case if you want to use the OpenSSH, nothing but command prompt. If you want to log in, you need a PIM. So I'm just going to create this key pair, and the same key pair has been downloaded with the PIM format. Again, I can move on to the downloads. Okay, so this is the key pair, and I should use this key pair, I mean to say, while logging into system. All right, now I think I have all the resources to create it. So let's go and create our Terraform EC2 instance by using Terraform. So let me save this file, and let me open the terminal. I can open terminal over here, or else I can go over here and I can jump back to the directory. So let me go to directory. First, I will execute it from the CLI. Later, I will show you how to do this one from the VS Code. So I'm just copying this path just to go inside to this path. Now, if I see, there is a file called ec2.tf. Now, I want to create this EC2 instance. Before creating, first thing, in Terraform, there are multiple commands you can execute. That is Terraform init. Okay, Terraform init is a command which can initialize your Terraform if it requires any plugins or any dependencies to execute this one. According to our file, it is going to pull. Over here, we mentioned our provider as a AWS, but we didn't mention any version, right? So it is taking the latest version, that is 5.41. In case if you mention the version, only that version it is going to take. So this is the first command you need to execute to initialize your Terraform. Once you have executed this one, next thing is Terraform validate. It is going to validate your Terraform file. Okay. So in case if there are any issues or syntactical errors, it is going to tell us that whether the file is valid or not. So it is saying that success, the configuration is valid. Once this is done, then we are going to do the Terraform plan. So plan nothing but it is kind of a dry run, which can able to check whether can I able to connect with my AWS and create all these resources properly or not. That's what it is trying to do. And it is also going to tell that how many resources it is going to create. If you see, we are creating only one resource, that is EC2 AWS instance. So one resource it is adding, 0 to change and 0 to destroy. So if you are okay, then you can execute the Terraform apply command. So apply is going to actually execute and create it. So before executing apply, I will just go to my console EC2 dashboard. And if I see there is no running instances, once I execute this one, in couple of minutes, we could able to see our EC2 instance. So let me execute this command, Terraform apply. So this is again saying that these are the resources it is going to create. That's okay. So as part of AWS instance, it is going to use all these resources and yes to create it. So now it is creating EC2 instance and it takes couple of minutes. So let it run. Meantime, what we can do, we are going to discuss about our 3-tier architecture, which we are having a plan to set up. If time doesn't permit, because it might take a lot of time, so I'm going to create a simple web tier environment so that you can be comfortable with that. I will explain about it anyway. Okay, let's wait. I think it might be executed by this time. Yep. So it's created the resource, and if I go and check it out, let me refresh it. Yep, you can see here it created a instance just now that is in AP South, and just to validate, if you see the AMI ID, the AMI ID what we have given should be here. So Amazon, yep, AMI ID 074, and if you go and check your file, yep, 074. All right. So this is how we can create a simple resource. Now let's talk about the 3-tier architecture, which we have a plan to set up. So usually 3-tier architecture, this is how it looks like. This is a typical standard 3-tier architecture. So beyond this, we can implement based on the project requirement. So over here, you can see there is a web tier, application tier, and a database tier. So usually we are going to set up our web tier in the public, or else even we can set up this one in the private. And we have a load balancer as well, right? So this should be in the public so that the traffic will come to the load balancer, from load balancer to web tier to private, I mean to say app tier to database. So over here, this will be having multiple instances because for the load balancer and high availability. And over here also we are using we are using one more load balancer. So this we will be this we can use it as another load balancer as a internal load balancer for the application layer. At last, in the database layer, in database, we will have only primary and secondary because we don't do load balancing at the database level because of the data integrity issues. So always we are writing on one database, and whenever there is some issue with this database, the connections will be redirected to the another database. So over here, we can use the RDS to provision it. So this is a typical three-tier architecture, and most of these environments should be in the private. And we will be using the application load balancer in the front end, and this application load balancer must be in the public subnet. So anyway, over here again, to send the traffic, internet connections, sorry, network, we are going to enable the NAT gateway. This will be helpful to provide internet connection to the private subnets. So we need NAT gateways as well to do this one. Okay, so this is a little bit of time taking environment. So to provision it might take some time. However, as part of this one, we need to provision multiple resources. Okay, similar thing I'm trying to provision in another way, which is easiest way. I have already written that code and committed into the GitHub. Just I will quickly show you. So repositories. Over here, you can see here Terraform to set up AWS ENV. So this is the code. Okay. Apart from creating an EC2, we are creating lot of other resources in AWS which are required to run the three-tier architecture. Okay. So over here, we are setting up a VPC. VPC nothing but virtual private cloud. Then subnets, security groups, route tables. Provider, I already discussed which provider we are going to use. Next, NAT gateway, internet gateway, Elastic IP, application load balancer. So these are the different resources we are going to use it. I will quickly explain, okay, what and all things we are going to provision over here. First thing is provider, as I mentioned. So provider will have the information related to which cloud you are going to connect it. You can see here Terraform required. We are connecting to the AWS. Okay, that is the required provider. And version, you can see this is bit older version. So we will use sometimes older version because the code what we are using can be compatible with the version what this provider is mentioning. That's why we need to specific about the versions, because in case if you are using the latest version, the other Terraform files which you have written might not work because there could be some resource names or values might be differ. Excuse me. Sorry. Yeah. So that's why we should be concerned about that what kind of provider and version we are using. Over here we are using 4.0.1. However, if we use the 5, we are using 5, right? Version 5 Terraform provider. I can check it out over here. Yeah, 5.41. Though we are using 5.41, I don't think so it creates the problem because the code is compatible with the latest as well. Okay. So this is the provider, and once we have connected with the provider, then we can connect with this each file. Now we have so many files, right? Terraform is intelligent enough to execute these files. Okay, which file we need to create, execute, or which resource we need to create first, which are dependencies, all these things. Sometimes if it might, our code might mislead. In such cases, we need to create the dependencies. Nothing but once you have created this resource, create the next resource, something like this. Okay, but quickly I will explain this code so that we can able to deploy this one. First thing is VPC. So we are creating a VPC. Earlier, even to create an EC2 instance, VPC is required. We have created it in the default VPC. Now we are creating a custom VPC. The VPC name is skill upright VPC. Next thing, yeah, another thing is while creating VPC, we need to give the CIDR block. This will be useful to use the IP addresses while launching EC2 instances. Next thing, once we have created VPC, yep, I will explain the structure while creating VPC, what and all we required. While creating a VPC, dedicated VPC, we need to create VPC and subnets. We are creating two public subnets and one private subnet. This will be for app tier and application tier, sorry, web tier and application tier. This one for the database tier. Next, two EC2 instances, not two, total three EC2 instances we are going to create. So out of three, two will be web and app. Another one is for database. Next, security group. Next, elastic IP, NAT gateways, internet gateways, route table. Then application load balancer. We are not using two application load balancers. We will use only one application load balancer, and we'll deploy Apache web server. And in database, we are going to, if time permits, I will show you how we can set up database and we can configure. So for interest of time, this is available manual way, okay, to set it up. If you want to practice it, it is available in the official AWS documentation. So AWS 3-tier application workshop in AWS, if you see. So this is the official documentation which I'm trying to set up even in Terraform. But setting up the same thing might not possible at this moment. I will set up the easiest way, but you can refer to this one. So I'm just sharing it in the chat. This resource will be helpful to understand how the 3-tier architecture works manually. So let me share it with you in the chat. Okay, and yep, now let's go back to our code. Yep. So yep, over here VPC we just talked, then subnets. So while creating subnets, we can create two subnets. One is for web tier and application tier. But here, this is, as I mentioned, it is a simple code. So I'm just creating the public subnets. Even over here, I'm just creating a private subnet. This is for database. Even for app tier also, we can create one more. Okay. So this is just to retrieve the usually data block we are going to use in case already resource is available. Just to see the difference, resource block will be helpful to provision the new resource. Data block will be helpful to retrieve the existing resources if you have something. Okay, that is the difference. And also we are giving the CIDR block range. So you can see here var.CIDR. And another thing is var nothing but we are calling it as a variable. We have variabilized this value, and these variables will come from a file called variables. So that I will just show you. You can see here CIDR count.index. It is looking over here. If I go to variables, yep, CIDR. So to call this one, how we can call var.CIDR dot this one, okay, count.index we are talking, right? So we are calling this one next to this one. So the count will be increasing. This we will refer it as a 0 and this refer it as a 1. That's how it called in Terraform. Okay. So count to initially it is going to be 0, then 1. Similar way, availability zones, we are creating in two different availability zones, that is AP South 1 and AP South 2. Sorry, South 1B. Next thing, resource, AWS subnet we are creating. So this is for the private subnet. Okay. This is for the public subnet. Once subnets we have created, next thing, we need to create internet gateway. So to create internet gateway, so this is the one. So creating internet gateway, again, resource type we are using and AWS internet gateway. Again, this we can get it from the official documentation itself. Then AWS internet gateway. and we are attaching this one to our current VPC. So our VPC is AWS VPC.main.id. How does it know that this is the name? Again, if I go back to my VPC, you can see here AWS VPC.main. So this is the VPC .id, nothing but it is going to take the VPC ID. That's how we can call AWS VPC.main.id. Okay. So once internet gateway is available, then we need to create NAT gateway. So this is to create a NAT gateway. So again, I'm creating a resource called NAT gateway. And another thing, one important thing depends on, you can see here. By default, Terraform can understand which resources to create when. However, we can create the dependency over here. Okay, so this is to create a dependency. So once NAT gateway is created, then we need to create, for NAT gateway, we need elastic IP because the primary requirement of NAT gateway is, first thing, it should have an elastic IP or public IP. So we should allocate an public IP and it should be under public subnet. These two are the primary requirements to create a NAT gateway. So same thing is done over here, allocating an elastic IP subnet. You can see here AWS subnet public 0 first element, nothing but in the first availability zone we are creating it. Okay, so once we have created NAT gateway, then we need to create the route tables. So this is to create route tables. So how you can able to create route table and route table association? If you have basic AWS knowledge, it is easy. Usually we can create a route table. Once we have created, we need to attach our internet gateway. So we have created internet gateway, right? That we are attaching to our route table. Then we need to do the subnet association. We are attaching our public subnets to the route table where we have attached to the internet gateway, so that these become a public subnets. Okay, and this is to a route. We are adding a route for the NAT gateway. This is for another one. Okay, AWS default route table. By default, one route table will be created. Over there, we are attaching the NAT gateway. When you attach this NAT gateway, okay, default now it is going to become a private route table because we are not attaching any internet gateway. So it will be used to send the traffic to the database instance. That's how this route table is designed over here. Next thing, once route table is set up, security group also we need before creating an EC2 instance. So to create security group, we are creating two security groups. One for AWS security group, that is allows port number 22 and 80 to connect it. Another one for database. Okay. So these two we are creating security groups. Once security groups are created, subnets. Next thing, elastic IP. So I have already mentioned we need an elastic IP. We are just creating elastic IP. This value, AWS EIP.myeip.id, nothing but we are referring to this resource. This resource is used in the NAT gateway. Okay. Next thing, EC2. This is where we are creating our EC2 instances in our custom VPC. So this one I have updated according to our current AMI ID and T2 micro and key pair skill up, right? Even we can provision the key pair, but I don't want to make it more complex. And subnet ID, we are going to create these instances, one instance per availability zone or subnet. That's why count we have given 2, and we are creating one EC2 instance in each availability zone, and we will name it as a web. And another thing is this is to file provisioner. File provisioner, nothing but it will be helpful to do some activity within the resource, within AWS resource or the resource which is provisioned by the Terraform. But it is not recommended to use the provisioners if you are having Ansible. Same thing can be done by the Ansible. It is copying a file within the EC2 instance, and from there we want to connect to the database. That's why it is mentioned. But there are different kind of provisioners are there. We are using file provisioner over here, which means that it is going to copy the file from our current location to this location. That is the meaning of this one. While running this code, we need to make sure that this skill up write.pem file we have downloaded, right? That should be there in the directory where we are running this Terraform code. So over here, it should be available, not over here. So over here, it should be available. We'll copy it. Okay. So at last, once EC2 is provisioned, we are going to provision the application load balancer. So this is to create a application load balancer. So we are creating the application load balancer and it is internet facing. That's why internal should be false. And the load balancer type is application load balancer. We are creating or using public security groups over here. And we are attaching all the subnets over here. And this is health check. And this is port number to create, sorry, this is target group. We need to create a target group for the load balancer. So over here, we are creating a target group. This is front end, nothing but a target group attachment. So we are attaching it as a port number 80. And this is to allow the listeners. So over here, we are using the listeners. So that is all about. I'm just going to run this one quickly. Before running it, as I mentioned, I need to copy the key pair, otherwise it is going to throw an error. I will show you how it is going to throw an error. For that, I will just close this one and I'm going to not this directory. This is the directory, right? So let me open the terminal over here. So same files we have seen right now. Okay. So let me open the terminal. So we are in the skill up right directory over here. So this is the actual repository. Sorry. cd Terraform repository. Over here, we need to run the Terraform plan. Okay, so I'm just running the Terraform init, sorry. So I'm going to run the Terraform init initially. So it is going to initialize and you can see here, this time it is using AWS 4.2.0. Next thing, Terraform plan, sorry, validate. So it is going to just validate our code. Okay, it looks good. Did I copy the key pair? I doubt on that one. Yeah, one key pair is there. This is for testing purpose. I kept it. I need to copy it from this one. So in the downloads, we have a skill upright key. I'm going to use this key over here. Okay, next thing, Terraform plan. It is going to tell total 21 resources it is going to create. Now I'm going to create the Terraform apply. Okay. So it takes a while. Meantime, I'm open to take questions if you have anything. And just before moving forward, so I'm just sharing this repository URL in the chat window. You can use this one. Yes. Now, please go ahead if you have any questions. So Q&A. So what if we run the same code again and again? Usually when we run same code again and again, it is going to compare it with the already existing resources. So yeah, I missed to explain about this concept. So there is a file called Terraform state file. You can see here, this is the Terraform state file. It will hold the information of your current environment. So previously we ran the EC2, created EC2 instance, right? Again, from there, if I try to run, it will tell that resources already exist. It doesn't create the new resource. If that resource is deleted, then it is going to create it, not deleted. In the Terraform state file, it says that, okay, that resource doesn't exist, then it is going to create. There is no harm to run it again and again. Okay. So next thing, please share the steps. Steps are already available in the GitHub repository. I would request you to refer to the documentation. Anyway, I'm going to share it once again. So you can go here and this is my repository github/revd. Anyway, this is the repository URL. I'm just sharing it over here. So you people can use it. Next thing, how to update existing resources, same thing. So okay, I'm sorry, I need to give yes to create it. So once it's created, we will come back. So how we can update existing resources? Just we need to go, let's take that instead of T2 micro, I want to have T2 medium. You just need to update this piece of code and you need to rerun your Terraform plan and apply. It is going to update your instances. It is quite easy, and even reprovisioning also it is quite easy. So next thing, how can uh, how can we avoid delete the resources accidentally? So the major intention of Terraform is just to make sure that it will be helpful for us to uh, do the things from the CLI. Okay, when you are doing with the CLI, it will be either reviewed by your peers who are already have good knowledge in this one, or else you are going to cross check or check with your plan what the things it is doing, so that it will be easy, so that accidentally you cannot delete the resources. However, it is always best practice to check your plan, how it is modifying and what and all things it is changing, so that you can able to understand. Next, what should what should I do if any one or two resources failed to execute? Yeah, there could be chances that while running it, it might fail while creating resources. You need to figure it out why it failed. Maybe there could be some dependencies are required, or it might require some of the resources to proceed further. Other resources or the parameters which you have provided might not be the right. So in such cases, you might see these kind of errors. What is the use of Terraform log file? So usually Terraform log file will be helpful in case now I am trying to create this infrastructure, right? If you have same piece of code, if you try to do the same thing, then it is going to create conflict. Terraform will get confused, or in the AWS resources, it will duplicate the resources. To avoid this confusion, okay, you are going to have the uh, Terraform lock mechanism, but that is again different concept. There is a backend, and DynamoDB usually we use to use the locking mechanism. But over here, again, if I try to run from the other console to create the same resources, this Terraform log file is there, right? So it doesn't allow us to do that. So I think how to update an existing resource I have discussed. If EC2 and vpc.tf files in the same folder and I want to run alb.tf file, what should be the command to use the latest code only? So if you want to give the explicitly a specific code, you can exclude it. Sorry, you can run the explicitly ALB file. Exactly, I don't remember the command, but this is possible by using the explicit mention of the file what you want to execute. There is no issue. How to set up locally with the help of Terraform RC file. So locally, I never tried it, but you can test it out. Mostly I'm working with the AWS cloud. Okay, so before answering other questions, if you see, it has created 21 resources. I will just jump in and I will show you whether these resources are created or not. If I go to my dashboard, EC2, and let me refresh it. I would request everyone go on mute, please. Let me keep everyone on mute. Sorry, I went on mute. I hope it is audible now, right? So here we have 4 EC2 instances, because earlier one is the one which we have created over here. Now 2 web servers and 1 database system, and I can install the application and I can do the connectivity of the database. However, okay, let me try to connect one of the instance. Yeah, before that, let's see the resources. Is it okay if I take 10 more minutes of your time? If it is okay, please let me know. Okay, all right. So quickly, what we are going to do is, So these are the EC2 instances which we have created. Then VPC, I'm going to check. Earlier we were having two VPCs. Okay, I didn't show you this one. Anyway, now three VPCs are there. Among these, you can see the VPC what we have created is skill upright VPC. This is the VPC we have created. In this VPC, you have subnets. Three subnets are there: private subnet 3 and public. And you can see the CIDR range what we have used. Okay, same thing is available over here. Next thing, route table. So you can see here default route table and my route table. These are the two route tables we have created: internet gateway and elastic IP. We have created one elastic IP for the uh, NAT instance. And the next thing, we are having a NAT gateway. So this is the NAT gateway which we have created. So these are the resources we have created just to connect. I'm going to log into my EC2 instance. Yeah, one more thing. I just want to show you the load balancer, right? So for that, I will go to my EC2 dashboard itself. In the EC2 dashboard, load balancer. So this is the load balancer which we just created. And this load balancer is having one target group. This is the target group. And to this target group, we have attached our EC2 instances. That's how we have defined. But if you see at this moment, okay, these two instances which we have created are unhealthy because there is no application is running. Usually we can run the application by copying the application from S3 bucket or by doing some configuration from the AWS level, sorry, Ansible level, but that is another discussion. So over here, I want to make it healthy. So I will show you how to do that. So if I install some application, because it is going to do the health check that, okay, in case if some application is running, then it make it as a healthy. That is the only thing it is going to do. So quickly, I'm going to connect to one of the EC2 instance. So this is one of the web server. So I will connect to this web server, clear the screen. So I will go back and I will go to my Terraform env, sorry, ls. Now, okay, so now ssh minus I, my key pair name is skillupright.pem, and EC2 minus user is the default user and the IP address. Okay, I'm trying to connect to my EC2 instance, and yes, and I could able to log into my instance. So now I'm going to become a root. Actually, I need to install the application, but for quick test, I'm going to install yum install httpd, a simple web page I'm trying to create. So I have installed a web application. Now I will start it. Service httpd start. Once you have started, you need to copy your application under where www.html. So this is the standard practice. Don't get confused what the steps I am doing. I just installed httpd and I started the service. And actually, when you start your service, it will look for the application in the where www.html. This is the default folder. Over here, there is no files. I'm going to create one of the file, that is index.html. It looks for a file called index.html by default. And I will copy some code over here, a simple code. So even I can Google it for the HTML code. A simple HTML code to login page. Okay. So just I will copy a simple HTML form code. So this is the code. Let me copy this code and copy it into this file. Paste anyway. And now if I try to access this one from the browser, okay, so this is the instance IP, right? So let me take this one and it runs on port number 80. So let me try to access it from the browser. Too many consoles. Let me close all of these just to avoid confusion. Okay, so I'm just going to give this over here. and whatever code we have copied, with this code it could able to log in. You can see here just a simple sample code I have done. Okay, so if I do some modifications over there, it will pick up those modifications. So this is the code we have done. So now, which means that the application is working, but if you want to connect, do some database and to connect it, we need to make our database configuration up and running. Really, it takes time. At this moment, it might not be possible, but we just need to see our low auto scaling group. Now you can see here, after configuring the application, it is healthy, which means that I can able to access my uh, application through the load balancer. Okay. So this is the load balancer, and there will be a DNS. So this is the DNS. Same thing we can see from the DNS. Okay, you can see here over here in the DNS, and I need to make sure that another instance also up and running. For that same configuration, I need to do so that it will be up and running. All right, so this is what I thought to demonstrate. And one last thing I just would like to show you is how to destroy the environment. So now we have provisioned it right from here. So to destroy, we can run Terraform destroy. So you can destroy it from here itself, and it is going to remove all the resources. Otherwise, you need to go and create it manually. So I can give S. Instead of destroying, if you want to modify something, you can do that as well. Okay, let's take that a simple way. Instead of destroying, I'm going to do T2 micro is there, right? T2 small. Okay, I'm just changing it. I don't execute it. So if you see Terraform plan, if I do, it won't create all the resources once again. It is just going to tell that whatever things you are modifying. How does it know? It is just know that you are just reprovisioning, sorry, modifying the instances by using this Terraform state file. Where it is? Yeah, terraform.tf state file. The information will be all is stored over here in this file. So if you lose this one, it is difficult. Nothing but it cannot understand. It won't understand it. Okay. So you need to make sure that, yep, you need to make sure that this file is in the uh, is available at any point of time. That's why we need to in real world we are going to store it in the S3 bucket with versioning, and also we are going to copy it into multiple locations. Anyway, now I would like to destroy it. Terraform destroy. So it is going to destroy all the resources which we have provisioned right now. So yes to destroy. Okay, so this is what I would like to demonstrate, and any questions, I will quickly take up the questions. Uh, what is the state log file? So as I mentioned, it is going to hold you to run again one more time. Now it is happening, right? If I try to open one more terminal and run it, it won't run because of this log file. How to update existing resource, we have discussed. How to set up locally with the help of, we never tried it. What if the resource is stopped? It doesn't make any difference whether resource is stopped or started. Again, it is going to start if you rerun this one, if there is any modification. Okay. How to use the state file for the deployment in the multiple environments. So you cannot use the state file to deploy in multiple environments. It will be helpful just to make sure the resources are not duplicated, and uh, what I can say, syncing with the other team members within your organization. That is the purpose of this one. So what is Terraform refresh? It is going to refresh your environment and just checking the your Terraform state file with the AWS target environment. Can we get the recording of this video? Yep, you are going to get the recording of this video. It is already mentioned, and it will be available. Link will be available in your email. Link is available in your email when you registered. So go and check it out, or else reach out to the Skill Up, right? So that's all from my side. And if you have any questions, I'm still okay to take up for next 5 minutes. Okay, thank you so much for attending. And one more time, I'm going to share my GitHub link if somebody is asking. So all the code is available in this location. You just not this one. So over here it is available. I'm just sharing it in the chat once again. And even you can connect with me in the LinkedIn. Okay, I'm available in LinkedIn if you are okay. So if you need any help, I'm fine to do that. So this is my LinkedIn profile. So how to integrate Terraform with Ansible? Yeah, that is common requirement. We have done many cases. Anyway, I have shared my LinkedIn profile. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us. Reach out to me over there also. Thank you so much, and I hope this session is helpful to understand basic concepts of Terraform. And I will look forward to see you again.